The brown box. The brown box. Keefe D was furious about what was in the brown box that the DA introduced to the judge and told him that they needed to sift through it before they introduced any of it for evidence. Keefe D knows what's in the brown box. He was furious, but the only person that he can be furious with is himself, because what's in that brown box could potentially land Keefe D in prison for the rest of his life. Let's get into what's in the brown box. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Blackjack. Life is like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor. Click on what appears to be that little bell notification. Also, subscribe to the channel. And like I always said, if you want to be one of the first people to get this straight game, please click on the bell notification and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday, we saw Keefe D, the guy who is alleged to have had dealings in the Tupac murder by his own confessions, go off on an unregulated rant in court at the end of his hearing, which was not advised by his lawyer and not advised by the judge, for it was not an evidentiary hearing or any other type of hearing dealing with the evidence. But the DA played a very, very valuable chess move, if you will. You know, and they wanted to see what Keefe D's reaction was. See, because it wasn't an evidentiary hearing. They just talked about that they had a brown box and some of the information that they had in the box. And with that, at the end of the hearing, Keefe D started to get mad. And in basically unadvised outburst, he started to talk about what was in the brown box, and it shouldn't be and couldn't be used, and that Greg Kading had the brown box in his attic for 15 years, as well as what he thought and why he thought it shouldn't be used based on Greg Kading's reputation. But if you paid close attention, it was a strategic move by the DA. They wanted to see how Keefe D would react. And they got what they wanted. And I'm going to tell you right now what was in the brown box that could potentially land Keefe D in prison for the rest of his life. And Keefe D had a right to be mad. But the only person that he really truly had a right to be mad with is himself. Because you see, Keefe D did a video with Vlad talking about how his friends had turned against him at the end of his drug dealing career, right? But more importantly, in the brown box, DA Diacomo basically said that there was a testimony from 2006, but not just the testimony basically corroborating who was in the car, like Keefe D did when he basically testified to Greg Kading them when receiving the proffer agreement. It wasn't just about who was in the car. Listen to this. Davis, who was indicted in September 2023 on murder charges in connection with Shakur's death, renewed his efforts to seek bail this month after District Judge Carly Kearney declined to release him in June. Prosecutors last week filed a response to Davis' new bail motion, arguing that they have additional evidence that places him in Las Vegas the night Shakur was shot on September 7th, 1996. Prosecutors argued that Davis had a hotel room in Las Vegas the night of the killing under his wife's name, right? The response also referenced a witness, Corey Edwards, who gave a statement to the California police in 2006 claiming that he saw Davis in Las Vegas that night after Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon heavyweight fight at the MGM Grand. Listen, unlike many other witnesses who have provided corroboration of defendant's guilt, Mr. Edwards is still alive, prosecutors wrote in a footnote of the court document. Davis's attorney, Carl Arnold, had previously told the Review-Journal that there is no proof that Davis was in Las Vegas that night. Pause. That's why Keefe D got so mad. Because Keefe D knows, as he said in the video on Vlad, and he had mentioned Corey Edwards' name before, right? I think calling him scary or something like that in Vlad or the Dialogue, one of their channel's videos. Once again, talking too much. Also, we know that Keefe D mentioned Foxy Brown's name. That's how we know that she was in Vegas, allegedly, with Eric Von Zip. When Keefe D basically said that he had got the firearm, the .40 caliber Glock, from Eric Von Zip, the gun that ultimately killed Tupac. And he allegedly said that Foxy Brown was there and seen him get the gun from Zip in the whole 9 yards, right? But more importantly, the key defense was that Keefe D wasn't in Vegas. Well, the initial investigation with the LAPD started in Los Angeles based on the fact that Keefe D had told the Los Angeles Police Department that he had met Sean Puffy Combs at Greenblatt's off of Sunset in Hollywood. You see how the Los Angeles PD now can get involved based on it was supposedly a murder for hire plot, and that Keefe D said him and Sean Puffy Combs wanted Tupac and Suge killed, $4 million. That's why they had Sean Puffy Combs' name in this new filing over 77 times. They're linking it all together. But more importantly, the DA played that card so swell because all they did was mention the brown box. And before they said what was actually in the brown box, they were paying attention to Keefe D's reaction. And Keefe D let the cat out the bag when he spoke out of turn, and the judge told him, he asked the judge, "Can I speak?" And she says, "I believe we're done here." And he proceeded to speak anyway about what was in the brown box. You see, if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. There's nothing to be said. But Keefe D let it be known that there was something there by speaking the way he did and calling the prosecutors ugly on the inside and the outside. That was anger. That was rage. You understand what I'm saying? What would make him so angry? Because you're on the verge of getting out of jail on bail. Keep your cool. Be respectful. You understand what I'm saying? To the judge as well as to the prosecutors. Because ultimately, I know that Keefe D feels like he might not never take a deal and he'll fight the case. But if it does come down to him wanting to take a deal, who is he going to have to go to? The same prosecutors that he called ugly. But they won't care about that. They would be more interested in closing the case, making the deal, and say, you know what, job well done. But yet and still, even in front of the judge. So now, understanding all of this, we understand now why Keefe D got so mad. Because I believe that Corey Edwards was one of his friends at one time. And Keefe D had talked about how on the Vlad interview how they had went to a park in Cerritos, California, and was talking about how the police were raiding them and taking their guns, and he was trying to get more guns or get money from Zip and Puff them for more guns because they were taking their guns away. And there were informants at that meeting. You get it? So Keefe D knew what was in the box. And Keefe D was saying, they can't use what's in the box. They shouldn't be able to use that. They can't use that. The judge didn't even really know what was in the box. But now you spiked her curiosity as to what's in the box by having that outburst instead of keeping you cool and dealing with what could be admitted as evidence versus what could not be admitted as evidence, because the judge even said so. The judge basically said, well, there's nothing that has been submitted for evidence that I can rule on at this particular time, Mr. Davis. And Keefe D kept talking again. You see? So, this is what was in the box. Prosecutors argued that Davis had a hotel room in Las Vegas the night of the killing under his wife's name. The response also referenced a witness, Corey Edwards, who gave a statement to California police in 2006 claiming that he saw Davis in Las Vegas that night after the Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon fight. Unlike many other witnesses who have provided corroboration of the defendant's guilt, Mr. Edwards is still alive. Prosecutors wrote in the footnote of the court document. And Keefe D's lawyer had insisted previously to the Las Vegas Journal-Review, a review journal, that there is no proof that Davis was in Las Vegas that night. We know that now without any shadow of a doubt because they're going to admit that statement as evidence in court. Because like the prosecutor said, the statement was made before there was any kind of confession or deal done with Greg Kading them, right? Or the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Greg Kading them in 2008, in which the year he received the proffer agreement, and in 2009, and going and testifying without immunity to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department about what happened. What happened, he said, basically, that he was responsible for hiding the gun, that his nephew shot Tupac. These are all the things that Keefe D told the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department that's admissible in court, right? That he was the one that hid the gun, that his nephew shot Tupac. What happened afterwards? Actually, Keefe D even testified in that interview that he had a room, or he stayed at the Monte Carlo. So he testified it. So he can't say anything about anybody else because he already testified to the fact that he had stayed at the Monte Carlo. But this is what was in the box. The fact that Corey Edwards saw Keefe D in Las Vegas that night. And he had mentioned that in 2006 before Keefe D made any kind of deal with Greg Kading, any kind of testimony or proffer deal with Greg Kading, or any kind of interview with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in 2009. I don't think Johnny Cochran could have got out this one. I don't know what Johnny Cochran could do seriously. Yeah. I don't know what he could do about this one. This is a tough case to follow because, like I said, the number one thing a lawyer advises their client to do is to be quiet and don't say anything and invoke your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And even in court on Tuesday, Keefe D didn't do that. He basically let the cat out the bag that there was something in the brown box that I don't want y'all to see, that y'all shouldn't know about, that y'all shouldn't hear. And what that was the fact that Corey Edwards had, in 2006, told the Los Angeles police that he saw Keefe D in Las Vegas on the night of the Tyson and Bruce Seldon fight, and the night that Tupac Shakur was shot and ultimately killed. Your boy Delray, straight gang.